Hey friends, welcome back to another Seed Talk with Lisa and Layne. Hey Layne.
Hello, I like your green shirt, Lisa.
I'm trying to sport the time of year, right? I even have
Yes.
a sign behind me that's
Oh,
green as well.
you do. You were prepared.
I am very prepared. I've been pinched way too many times not having green on, right?
Yeah.
So, friends, just a friendly reminder that this broadcast is brought to you by thegardenersworkshop.com, which is home base to all that we do, from educational platforms that include online library full of courses, as well as our fully stocked online garden shop. So, Layne, what are we going to talk about today? Let me guess. Is it something to do with green?
It is. And I'm also wearing a green shirt, although I feel like its reading is more gray green on the screen, but we are both in the green spirit. St. Patrick's Day is just around the corner. So we thought we would do a little episode with a green theme. So we're going to be talking about three different green cool season flower fillers. And
Ooh,
we're just going to go, yes, and we're going to go all in detail about why we like them. And then we're just going to share a tip or trick for each. So one of them has a germination trick, and the other two have a little bit of a harvesting tip we're going to share. So it should be pretty fun.
I mean, green is in.
It
I
is.
love foliage and filler. I can't even speak, y'all. I
Yeah.
mean, there's just never enough of it when you're a bouquet maker or when you're selling to florists. So excited about it.
Yes, me too. All right, let's get started.
Ooh, 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 ooh.
Yes, I know. All right, so first up is going to be Atriplex, and the botanical name is Atriplex hortensis. And this is not technically grown for the flowers, but rather for those beautiful flat little seed pods that develop all along the stems. And it adds so much texture to an arrangement, and it does come in a sort of wine red color as well. But today we're obviously going to be focusing on the green variety, which is this gorgeous apple green shade. Why do you like using Atriplex as a filler, Lisa?
I mean, the texture and it's just really, really beautiful. I mean, when I finally figured out at what stage to harvest it, which is what you're looking at right here, I just couldn't believe I hadn't been growing it forever because it is so incredibly versatile. I can use it in anything, and our florist felt very much the same. So that means it's just in demand by everybody.
It is. And our tip for Atriplex is actually going to relate to germination. So we actually had Joe Lample from Joe Gardner on back in episode 30, and he was discussing a little trick for getting spinach to germinate, which prompted a little bit of an Atriplex experiment. Lisa, can you just talk about that and this seed priming germination tip?
Sure. So I knew that Atroplex is in the spinach family. And Joe was talking about, getting once he learned how to get his spinach to germinate really well. And I said, wait, what would that tip be? And then he shared with Layne and I that he actually primes the seed. And what he did was he soaked the seed in water for at least 24 hours. Then you get the seed out and you dry it off and then kind of just dump it out onto paper towels for a couple of days to do that. Next, you just roll that paper towel up and stuff it all in a Ziploc bag and just let it sit on the counter for 5 days. You don't have to put it in the refrigerator or anything. And friends, I am here to tell you, I went from a spotty germinator with
Yeah.
Agroplex to 100% just super success. And we do find Joe still started his indoors, and I have not done that yet. We've been direct sowing it because we had so much trouble in the past. But I am really thinking that we need to prime and then start some soil blocks inside Layne. And because it just, it's so much less work to plant transplants than it is to direct sow. So the priming works great, and I think that might open the door for us to be able to start them indoors again.
I agree. And I just wanted to add that the clusters of these pods are really dense and they're not as airy as something like cress, but they are so beautiful. If you don't know what they look like, feel free to pop over to YouTube and take a look at the picture we have on the screen or use a search engine. But it really is beautiful, fresh or dried, actually.
And the red is like a red wine, and it's equally as gorgeous,
Yes.
particularly as I think, the wedding colors as we get back into that more Victorian type of vibe going on. it fits beautifully in with that. But hands down, this chartreuse green seed pods of the green is fabulous.
Fresh and fabulous.
Yes, there you go.
Okay, now we're going to move on to our next flower, which is going to be something we could not do a green themed episode without including, and it's Bells of Ireland, aka Moluccella laevis. And this is like the ultimate green flower to me. I don't know about you, Lisa, but the stems are just loaded with these apple green bells, and they're so unique looking, and they're just the perfect addition to any bouquet. What do you have to say about Bells of Ireland,
Oh
Lisa?
my goodness. On a good year, which means low disease, and we have a great stand of them. I mean, it just makes our life as flower farmers easier to build a bouquet around a stick of bells of Ireland, is really, really simple. And I will tell you that here on our farm, when we've had open farms where bells of Ireland were present in the garden, it hands down is the number one draw. I mean, people stand around and gaze at them like they're newborn babies. I mean, it was very fascinating to me to watch that I wasn't the only person enamored with them. You know what I mean? It just has this effect on people. And they are definitely worth figuring out the challenges. You know, our challenge, because we grow them out in the field in a garden, because we don't have houses, is you can get diseases if you have a really rainy spring. And there's really nothing you can do about that. You know, if it happens, it happens. You just cut the crops and trash them. You don't even compost them because you don't want those spores, right? But you know, if you ask my sister, she'll tell you we never grew enough bells of Ireland because she never wanted me to have any to sell to our florist because she wanted them all for bouquet building. It just made the job so much easier.
I can't say I blame her, but I also wanted to mention that they look so beautiful all by themselves. And even if you're having a bad year where they turn out a little shorter than you'd want, they look
Yeah.
so pretty in just a picture, like on your kitchen table or something. They are just so beautiful and fresh and green.
And they have a pretty unique smell,
Yeah.
fragrance. And some people call it apple scent. And so, it's kind of like when I smell our first tomato transplants, you know, when we're starting seeds, it's like my heart just kind of races up a little bit. It's the
Yeah.
very same thing when I'm thinning the bells of Ireland. I just did that. Here we are in early March, and I just took care of that chore. Oh, I just loved having that smell on my hand. But it's an incredible crop.
Okay, so our tip for Bells of Ireland is going to actually relate to the harvest stage in dealing with thorns, as well as to keep those sweet little leaves that tend to poke out in and amongst those bells.
Yes. And so I think that I didn't have much experience with those thorns because we were always so quick to harvest our stems in our effort to beat disease. So for me here on the farm, we consider it time to cut the bells of Ireland as soon as they're tall enough to be useful. We don't let them grow on and on and on as some people do. And that's when they start to develop those thorns, which come as they mature. So, early harvesting can handle that problem for you. And yes, we leave those little green tufts of leaves. And I was really afraid to take them to our first florist that first year, thinking, oh my gosh, because I tried to strip them, I'll be honest. It was so labor intensive. I thought, well, we just won't even grow these if this is necessary because it's just not worth it, right? When I took them in with those leaves that were in pristine condition, our florist absolutely loved them that way. So it
Oh,
worked out well.
I love those. And can you just describe where those thorns develop?
I believe it's right along the stem and it's usually like right below where the bells are. But my method of madness is you just use them before they get to that stage. That just makes it simpler.
And these are just so gorgeous in bouquets, but also just out in the garden. They just look so pretty and they're really long lasting out there thanks to the papery nature of those bells.
And you know, a little side tip is those little bell cups are so great for holding water that
Oh,
you'll
yes.
often find bees in there and other pollinators and just other insects out in the garden, just sitting there on a bell, sipping away, having their drink of the day. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, fun for us and fun for them as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and for our final flower, we're actually going to be talking about Sweet William. The botanical name is Dianthus barbatus, but surprisingly, we're not talking about the actual blooms here. So our tip for Sweet William is going to be to try using it as a filler when it is still in bud form. It has this really interesting powder puff sort of form before the flowers actually open, and it just adds such a fantastic texture. And it's also great if you're desperately looking for something to poof up a bouquet in early spring. So, what do you have to say, Lisa, about using Sweet William as a filler, but specifically in this green stage before any blooms have even opened?
Yes, and because we have been part of that desperate for filler situation,
Yeah.
and you're walking around looking for something to go with those cool flowers that you've grown, just to kind of poof the bouquets up. And Sweet William definitely fills the bill.
And on our slide, we actually have an example of the Sweet series of Sweet William. But your favorite variety to use for this purpose, Lisa, tends to be Amazon. Can you explain why?
Sweet, which also works beautifully, but Amazon tends to have a much bigger head, which makes the filler give you just a little bit more bang for your buck. So, you know, Dianthus is a super long lasting, sturdy cut. So you can really cut at any stage, and I've never had a wilt. You know what I mean? It's not like zinnias and other flowers that if you cut them too soon, you're worried about that the stem's going to be soft. That has not been the case for us with Dianthus. We love cutting it green.
Yeah, they hold up really well. Did you ever sell Sweet William in this stage to your commercial customers, or was this just something you would tuck into your bouquets only?
Yeah, no, we typically would only use them in our own bouquets to kind of get us over the hump of when, needing more flowers or needing more filler or what have you. But yeah, I'm sure they'd have pretty been on board. But funny enough, so often many of the flowers that come to florists that have been shipped in are cut, out of country somewhere, and they're cut looking like this because they're trying to get them to ship the best. Well, so often they never, because they go through that trauma of being dry for a week and just varied temperatures and all kinds of variables. They typically don't go on to ever open under those circumstances. So you may find that your florists are gun shy of you offering that to them. And so I try not to even do anything remotely similar to what they may have a bad experience with. So we just basically used them in our bouquet program. But if you can see any visible buds deep in that green, yeah, they'll typically go on to develop if you give them flower food. But that's not what the purpose is.
Right. Okay, well, that was it for this green themed episode. Hope you enjoyed hearing about those fillers. And make sure that if you're enjoying Seed Talk, to share it with a friend. We always appreciate that. And always be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're watching or listening so you won't miss any of our future episodes. And feel free to comment over on YouTube. What's your favorite green filler flower to use in the springtime? We would love to hear that. And you can also submit that using the form linked in the show notes. But thank you so much for joining us again.
Yes, friends. So remember, you can drop in over at thegardenersworkshop.com, connect with all that we're doing. And we just love helping people grow cut flowers at all stages, whether you're growing them for your kitchen table or to start your business or to expand your business. We love being a part of it. So till we meet again, friends, ciao.
Bye.